Running a fish room isn't cheap, but how much does it actually cost per month? Well, today I'm going to be breaking it down. This is a question that I've had myself, and I wanted to figure out how much it actually costs me to run my home fish room. I've gone through all of my bills and tried to come up with the most accurate number that it takes to run this room. So in here, this is my fish room at home. I breed a bunch of fish in here. I also have a shop that you guys can go and visit. Maybe we can break down the cost of the shop in a different video, but today we're just gonna be focusing on this room. We're gonna go through the electricity, the water bills, and food, pretty much everything. If that was a question you guys had, I'm gonna try and answer it. The first thing you think of when it comes to fish tanks and aquariums is water. And I do use a lot of water. So in here, I think I have 40 tanks in here. I went through one of my bills and I'm gonna put it up on the screen. But what I did was I took my water bill from before I had the fish room and then took the water bill that I had after I had the fish room and took the bigger number and subtracted the little number from it. I figured out that I use about 214 kiloliters of water per quarter. And then when we take the rate into account for how much water costs per kiloliter here in Brisbane, it works out to $307 per quarter or $102 per month just on water. So that's not including dechlorinator or anything like that. I'm spending $100 a month just on water. It's not a small expense. It does add up. You can see how easily a fish room can be expensive. I've got an automatic water change system here, so I go through a lot of water because I just run it all the time. Someone with a couple fish tanks at home probably aren't going to use as much water as me. This might not be such a worry for them. The second part is electricity. Now, I think this room's quite economical with the amount of electricity we use, but electricity is the most expensive cost when it comes to a fish room. It really bites you in the bum because electricity at my shop, just off the top of my head, comes from $1,200 a month to $1,400 a month, Australian. And that's just for the shop. Electricity gets really expensive when you have the heaters in each tank and when you have lots of lights running. So I have tons of LED lights in here running all the time. They add up. And at my new fish store, I'm going to be installing solar to try and combat this expense because it's very, very expensive. The pumps also adds the electricity bill. So I did the same method for the electricity bill as I did for the water bill. I took what I used to use before I had the fish room versus what I had after. And it turns out we're using 2,000 kilowatt hours per quarter, which is around $800 every 3 months just for the fish room. Around $267 per month. And like I said, this is from the heaters and from the lights and everything in here. So starting to get very expensive per month. Things that help keep down the room cost is heating the room or cooling the room, which I use with my aircon. So that helps a lot because I don't have to run heaters in every single tank. But yeah, the lights being on all the time definitely adds up. Okay, the next part that I'm going to include is rent. So a lot of people wouldn't take this into account, but having a fish room, you do have to pay for the place that you put it. So whether that's in part of your mortgage or whether it's you got to pay rent to actually have your facility, it does add up. So what I did was I just took my rent and then took out the bedroom that I use as the rent. So what I would have normally got, and we're spending about $700 a month just on rent for the room. So that's another huge expense. In theory, this was always going to be a fish room for me, so I don't need to calculate the rent, but we're spending $700 a month of rent that I could probably get someone in here, like a student if I wanted to live in this room. Then food. Now, I feed lots of food and I feed a lot of high quality food. Obviously, I feed bug buffet, I feed the liquid gold brine shrimp eggs, and I feed a lot of them because I have a lot of fish. And I just had to estimate this, but I estimate that I'm spending about $150 a month on food, between using brine shrimp, which is quite expensive, and the mug buffet, and also micro pellets and all sorts of other different products that I use. I'm spending definitely about $150 a month. I also buy a lot of live food, which would also boost my bill up a lot. So live blackworms just really extravagantly increased my bill for food. But $150 a month would definitely be about the number that I use for food in here. Now, I've also added just a little $25 a month on top as an additional expense for like wipes, sponges, Windex, things like that I use monthly just to like clean the tanks. Just various equipment, things that I buy on Temu and all sorts of other BS. The next expense that I put in here is fish and plants. So I spend a lot of money on getting new species and buying plants, and I just obviously I take these from the shop, but At a guess, I spend about 200 bucks a month on just new stock, new things to play around with. Obviously I sell and trade a lot of fish too back to my store, but if I was a hobbyist and was in a hobbyist shoes, that's what I reckon I'd be spending about a month on new species. I also thought it'd be interesting to tell you guys how much time I spend in here. Now, because I have the automatic water change system, I never use really buckets or siphons, and it's very, very easy to run the room. But I definitely spend about 45 minutes a day just feeding and caring for the fish and turning on the water change system and checking everything out. That adds up to at least 6 to 8 hours a week minimum. But I reckon I spend at least 15 hours a week in here just playing with the tanks, cleaning them. It takes a lot of effort to actually maintain 40 tanks, keeping the glass clean, scrubbing them down, but I obviously enjoy it. It's my hobby and I love it. There you go. There goes the water change right now. Okay, so in total, with all of these costs added up, this fish room I found out costs me $1,444 a month. That's obviously an estimated number. There's a few expenses in here that could be cut out, but at a guess, I definitely would say it cost me 1,500 bucks a month just for having the room. It's definitely not a cheap hobby, and that's an ongoing cost. Now, luckily, because I breed fish, it subsidizes this cost. So fish that I sell in the shop pay for this expense. So I get to kind of have the hobby for free, which is why I recommend at least breeding a few things and supplying it to your local fish store just to kind of like help pay for things. But I don't know, I thought you guys might find that fascinating. So 1,500 bucks a month, not too bad. Obviously, if I had solar, that would cut out a big chunk of the expense. If I owned my house and I didn't have to pay rent or didn't have to pay a mortgage on it, that would also help. And if I didn't buy new fish, that would also help. And if I had some kind of way of storing water, I could also cut out that expense too. Yeah, not too expensive, but I thought this might be surprising for you guys to figure out. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. I hope you guys found it fascinating, and I'll see you in the next one.